Good afternoon, members. Good afternoon, Mr. Taisugui,
Good
and to the
afternoon.
viewing public. We now rise back from recess, and we are just in the. We will be finishing up this afternoon, and so we'll just go right into it. Mr. Taisugui, I just have a few follow-up questions. I know earlier you were asked what would be your recommendation, or what would be. There's a lot of this mention about there's room for improvement and how would you improve the program.
Okay.
But I just wanted to break that down and see um, what your thoughts would be being a panel member in reviewing these applications. Would you say that, or what is your opinion on the process or the way the administrator, Banco Saipan, received application? Are you satisfied with that process?
This must no German. No, it's na process ni gumaha no sini abay songan na sa resfetsua so. I process basically I paro my intake ni Bank of Saipan. Pumavedit ni Bank of Saipan. And mavedit ni debi no manaholum I letter of interest ko ato gi Bank of Saipan. No debi di na umanaholum I business plans. Debi no manaholum I company profile. Debi no inis gayon lokwi ni business license. Dan lokwi zangin sa kosu na LLC pat corporation. Debi no nis gayon ni certificate of no existence. No dan lokwi no debi di na unis gayon ni tax clearance. No ukomprendea na nuevos na programa. Ezi na an infaisins o pago of opinion no na. Imos no sono na inepeko I todo programa kwaha kampo para ma-improve. Now, ko para by open no pago gi after esta malofan siya no man machogui siya I alpha debi po fan machogui. No malago zo na benaclorus ti na empleawa zo gini. Tigol responsible ni programa. Empleawa zo madesigna zo ni makasugi no commerce para by sono gini como representante niya ginin e-commerce no para by review I business plans dan lokwi para by diskuti of review gi business plans dan I pumalo na no reviewer I grand reviewer no dan para by fan adanya no inasun momi cosa kisinya ben recommenda no hulo gi gobyerno para dispositionnya no istigi I process ni gumaha para guaho.
Thank you, Mr. Taisugui. 1 second. We'll allow the co-chair to summarize and translate your responses for members and the viewing public.
What the witness stated was the only process that I can say I'm satisfied with is the intake by Banco Saipan. They have to turn in, and he went on to list several documents such as the letter of intent, the business plan, the business profile, and etc. And he said if it was an LLC, it has to be accompanied by the certificate of existence and also accompanied by tax clearance. He also further stated that I understand that this is a new program and all programs have room for improvement. And to answer this after the fact, I want to make it very clear that I am just an employee. I was designated to represent the Department of Commerce, and he only reviews business plans Oh, they review business plans with other grant reviewers and merge our thinking to recommend to the governor. And he can correct me. I take that to mean when he said merge, umadanya inasun mommy, merge our thinking with the other reviewers on the panel to recommend to the governor. And that is the only process that is available to me.
Would you agree with that summary?
Unggan.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Taisui. But my question was just simply asking if you agree with the process of how Banco Saipan, being the administrator, received and prepared the applications for the panel's review. Just that process alone. Are you satisfied with the way Bank of Saipan administered the program?
Sini abay songan na unggan sa in sumauno ju ini gi review the i process gumay gi ano mo. Pues para be opi question mo ko satisfecho jo. Unggan satisfecho jo los sinya kasi sinya guamos kampung mona jangkin para makontinua isti na programa sinya mas kasi gua kampung para ma improve.
I can say yes because I participated in this program. The process was there when I came in. And to answer your question, I'm sorry, can you repeat the last portion of what you said? To answer your question,
Jangin sa kaso na para continua isti mona no na programa then
if this program was to continue,
unggan no
then yes,
mo sinya ha gua kampo para improvement.
yes, there is room for improvement.
Thank you for that. Are you satisfied with the process of the way the panelists selected the applications to review? Just that portion of the review process.
Any na process available para gopis sinya basangan na satisfecho jo para pago.
That process is the only process available to me. So yes, I can say that I am satisfied with that.
So you wouldn't change the process at all?
Temano eliko gifinini na todo nuevo na programa no jangin prosigi mona todo tempo guaha kampo para improvement.
Just as I said earlier, all programs have room for improvement
Jangin prosigi mona.
to continue, if it were to continue.
So what would you change? What would be the improvement of this particular process?
Uguaha mas maulig na documentation.
To have better documentation.
And so you would still apply the same process of randomly selecting applications from the boxes?
Jangin sa kaso tawza eno na improvement. Da enwa guaha na pues tanikenwa mapesigi.
If there was no other improvement, then that would be can you repeat the last? You said
Jangin enwa guaha na.
if that was the only
Ja poro makonsigi za te mafatitinas
and to
improvement
continue,
pues
and
teniki tayuenwa i
if the
process.
improvement wasn't made, then the process something,
Then enwa na process tenki matatiji.
then that is the only process they will follow.
I understand that, but having sat on the panel and knowing what you know now of the process, would you recommend to change the process or in your words, improve the process?
Temano eliko na todo
Just as I said that all
na programa
programs,
todo tempo gua campo para
there's
improvement.
always room for improvement.
Right, and what would those improvements be?
Estaw sangan eno
I already said that.
I don't
mas
think you
maulig
answered.
na documentation.
Okay.
better documentation.
So you don't believe in chronological order, first come, first serve, the process of reviewing those who submitted first?
Tay Manuel iko no chairman gi
Just as I
finini na
said, Chairman, earlier,
na no ti stimulus program este.
that this is not a stimulus
No.
program.
Pues si process na available na comprendido na
process
na
that is available is understandably
na guahatan ni kiti manohi guahatan ki manohi.
that some will not be given and some will
No.
be given.
So you don't believe in chronological order?
Tibay sangan na tionggi chronological
I will
order
not
lo
say
ti
that I don't believe in
lo taigen
chronological
on the
order,
process
but
and
that
malum jo.
process was not available when they recruited me.
But you could have recommended that process, correct? It's a new.
I am only an employee.
An employee only, just to go there and review. And what and your malumo is in a process so sada alum.
When I came in, that was the process I found going in.
Thank you. But with all due respect, Mr. Taisui, you keep mentioning you're just an employee, but you took on the responsibility to sit in this panel and review applications that, essentially affect people's lives. And being the one of three individuals responsible for safeguarding the the funds within the CNMI as well as this integrity of this program, I think that your responsibilities are far greater than just an employee. And if you feel that this program was unfair, shouldn't you have recused yourself or simply and respectfully declined to sit in this panel?
I have no comment on that, Chairman.
Thank you. Would you say that you agree with the process of the way a panelist would recuse themselves from reviewing applications?
Idwa ikinampendeku na pabe recuso.
That is my only understanding, to recuse myself.
Jangin sa kaso na
If
no usenti na guaizo ko conflict of
I feel that I
interest.
have a conflict of interest.
Would you recommend another way to would you recommend another way in which would resolve the matter if a member had recused themselves, and how the remaining members will review an application? Or let me put it this way: would you think it's a fair process to select another member from the division or from the department to sit in if a member recused themselves?
I process no malumo na
The process
tresa
when I got in,
na
only 3
na review no members.
review members.
Pues eno na question ko ba recommenda na
So that
jangin no
question,
recuso pabe
should
ma
I
replace
recommend
ja
when
tresa
I
to the
recuse
tempo.
myself?
Taje zo ko comment gano idwa by sangan na
I don't
nats
have
ko
any
recuso
comments
gagwa simple majority.
other than when I recuse myself, there is a simple majority.
Thank you. And are you satisfied with the process in which the panelists awarded the amounts to these businesses?
A process basically is to arrive at the end of the day collectively no arrive at a consensus recommendations.
And are you satisfied with that process currently?
Danggin po sige muna sinya i-programa
If it
gwaha no
was to
room
continue
for
the
improvement.
program, has room for improvement.
And how would you improve that process?
At this time, I don't have any comment on that.
All right.
Would a written recusal be better? Just rather than verbal?
So at the time, thoughts and a process and a written recusal. So I have no comment on that.
But the chairman is asking you in particular, what would you improve? Would A written, you earlier alluded to better documentation would improve the program. Would a written recusal from any of the panelists be an improvement?
Te mano ay dilekune na anin faisinit
Just as I said when you asked me
jangin alpha model on improvement na
if there
liko
were any
better
improvement,
documentation.
I said better documentation. So yes, is that a yes? Written recusal would be an improvement,
Senior ha.
possibly.
Thank you. Mr. Tyson, the reason I ask these questions is because um, as of this date, I guess there's no uh, formal communications whether this program will continue or will be suspended. But you did mention in your earlier testimony that you would be happy to continue to sit in as a panelist to review these applications. And our concern as a committee is that, there's all these talks about improving the program, but we are not hearing from you how would you as a panel member would improve the program so that the people have a better understanding and more confidence in the way the panel members will review this program. And
Mono
so,
sasanganin
sorry. And so, while you mention you're just an employee, you were given that power and authority to sit in as a representative of the department, while you have every right to recuse yourself or every right to step down and respectfully decline the appointment. You continue to sit in and make these decisions that essentially, as I stated, would affect the lives of the people that applied, the people who may or are waiting to be employed by these companies that are requesting for funds. And so, part of this hearing is to determine how well this program is being run and what the recommendation would be moving forward after the conclusion of these hearings. And so, with that, as we conclude the hearings, I hope that you consider that when the panelist gets back to review the remaining portions of these applications, that all these recommendations and all these suggestions, other than room for improvement, should be looked at and should be published so that the people have better confidence in how fairly and equitably this process is being handled. And so, with that, I will now hand the floor over to Vice Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr.
Good afternoon.
Taisco. Welcome back. Sorry, you keep mentioning you're just an employee. I was wondering, after every meeting or review session, do you report back the findings to the Secretary of Commerce?
gua na biay no unay gwi no update gwi lo
Sometimes I give him updates,
ti todo biay
but not all the
sa
time
ti
because
ta jay no na ko required para by sa ngani gwi lo
there is no
since
requirement of me to give him
imakasu na biay
updates.
na update gwi.
But sometimes I give him updates.
Okay, I asked that because
Mm.
we keep repeating that you're just an employee. You're designated there to review,
Enggak.
and if that's the case, then you're ultimately giving up the authority of recommendation to the Secretary of Commerce by reporting to him on the findings of your findings with the panel.
Well, ti required nino lo gwa no update gwi.
Well, he didn't require me, but sometimes I update him.
All right, thank you for that. In all your review meetings, how many times were there only two members reviewing in the review panel?
Tangin tumay gwi uno.
Quanto Bray?
If one was absent or wasn't there.
We already know that the December third meeting, there's only two of you guys. How many times prior to that where there's only two members?
I cannot recall. Dispensa.
Okay, and I'm asking this because previous question by Reptina Sablan, when you had recused yourself in a December 3rd, I believe, if I might be mistaken on the date, meeting, that would have left Will Castro, the chief of staff, by himself to make the recommendation to the governor. And from my understanding from your testimony, it has to be a consensus. And a simple
Dos.
majority is not a consensus. A consensus is all three members. But if one member recuses himself and another member is absent, there's only a consensus of one member available to make that decision to push forward to the governor for approval. Correct?
Makait sino comment gano sa
Truthfully, I
No.
cannot comment on that.
tutungo tayo mano bidonya si Mr. Castro.
I don't know what Mr.
Sina
Castro
cause
did.
invitation si Mr. Castro nino.
Perhaps you should ask
Okay.
Mr. Castro that.
At any point of the review panel meetings, were you by yourself in the panel where one was absent and one had recused themselves to review the documents to push forward to the governor or applications?
No todo tempo dodosa.
No, there were always two of us all the time.
So there's never a point that one recused, one was absent, and you were the only one? We've already established that this is December 3rd meeting. There was only one person making a decision.
Tutungo ko mamatinas desisyon gano pat
I don't
ananga.
know if he made
No
a
o
decision
tayo mano
then,
bidonya malignya ano na
but
question
how he did it
na option niya ma
That
raise
question-
what to gi Mr. Castro.
should be raised to Mr.
Yeah.
Castro.
And that's absolutely true, no?
Mm.
But the thing is, Mr. Castro was there, you recused yourself. Mr. Atale, former Secretary of Finance, was off island. Checks were printed that Friday. So somebody made a decision, and it's only going to be one person.
I don't have
Correct.
any knowledge on that.
But
Tayo mano na process.
Yeah, the December 3rd meeting on recusal,
Gan
Right.
Gan.
Mr. Castro was by himself because Mr. Atalik was off island. That's 3 days later, they were printing checks already for the decisions that were made on December 3rd.
No tawdes ok knowledge no ko ngayon na prini check.
Well, it's
I have no
on
knowledge
testimony.
when the checks
Lo
were
fa
printed.
sinzo na
Ang ganda.
no vice jo sa
But you're
nganyo
asking me,
na
guys, and I'm telling
nga
you,
na pa bi opi offer that is siguro jo le.
don't
Sa
want to
tawdes
answer
ok knowledge
when
no
I'm
sa
not
ti
sure
ti
and I don't
involve
have
po
any
nino para ma print
knowledge
check
when I was
ngayon po ma print
involved
check ngayon po
to
ma
print
distribute the
checks
check
or distribute
ja mga na
distribute
bailatsi.
checks. And I don't want to make a mistake.
And I understand that. I'm just letting you know, no, that in the previous testimony of Banco Saipa that the checks were printed that Friday, and you had the last meeting on that Tuesday, and that would have made one person with the final decision to push forward, and that's not a consensus.
Tutungo na tayo mano usang onyo na tutungo afa masusedi
Just
gano
as I
no.
told you, I don't know what happened.
Anay guidzahan eh. Debi si
When
Mr.
he
Castro na
was-
tungo ano na tisinya mamatinas desisyon.
Mr. Castro should know that he cannot
simple
make the
majority.
decision.
Pues
without a
tayo
simple
mano na
majority.
truly simple majority. I have no knowledge. Maling niya ma-fight si Mr. Castro na.
And
Put
we'll
it
get
to
to
ask Mr.
that,
Castro.
no? On another note, you've already mentioned that you've recused yourself on a couple of businesses, no? Whether there's associates or a business partner.
Okay.
Has the Secretary of Finance ever recused himself?
Gidoko recollection ungan.
Okay. To Nasu, you don't remember maybe how many businesses?
No recollection.
No
dispenser.
recollection. How about Mr. Castro, Chief of Staff? Did he ever recuse himself from any of these on the panel?
Kinaprindik ko
Based on my understanding,
jasina lahat si Jo na.
and I could be wrong,
lo taza na matugat atensyon no na
But it never
puro
came.
recuse ko.
To my attention that he would recuse himself.
Okay, so the answer is you don't recall or you
Mm,
don't
yeah, I don't
remember
recall,
him.
yeah.
You don't remember him recusing himself
Ungan,
on any.
ungan.
And you were there. You were present at every single panel meeting, correct?
Gua na biyay na tayo di sulok.
Sometimes I'm not there.
Would you be off island or would you be attending to another
Attending to another schedule.
within the Department of Commerce? Correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Because I'm asking this because it seems like a lot of the panelists that had recused themselves on certain companies, know that they have
Okay,
maybe
okay.
associations with, those companies actually got boosted. So it's almost seems like the key word is I recuse myself, therefore let's get the boost money to these businesses.
Vice na itang gano'n natin sinya gano'n gizo mo perspective no.
If you look at it from your
No.
perspective,
Diyan na atan ni Gia ofati man mabusi pumalo na.
and
No.
you
It's
see
almost
that the others
the
are not
sinya by
boosted,
opinion no.
I cannot answer that.
No. Sinya na sa in
Possibly,
review ma review
because
is unyan no application.
The application was reviewed
Jasiya no
and they
man ma-award at that time.
were awarded
No.
at the time.
Lo jangginun kumpapara jan ijiti
But
man
if
ma-award
you're
na.
comparing to those who were not
Bula man
awarded,
ma-award.
yes, they
Ti
were awarded.
izwa i mono na recuse ko jan mono no
It's
recuse
not
so.
only
No.
where the others
Sinya
recused
una atan
themselves or I
lokwe
recused
na
themselves. You can also see
often gua mostak kilo ja gua mostak
that
papa.
some
No.
are very
Well,
high, some are very low.
Inigi consensual
But that was
recommendation.
the consensual
No.
recommendation.
Lo ifakto ni
The fact is,
na incomprendi obligasyon mommy.
we understand our
Na
obligation.
jangin siya koso na
that
incentive
if
na gwaha izun mommy
We
conflict
feel
na
we have a conflict
na in exercise no ja
that we would
in
exercise.
recuse tayo mano sa ngonyam so no recuse so
Just as
no.
I told you, I recuse
Tutungo
myself.
ko
I don't
bobe
know
no pan maulig lo
if that
inigi
is good or
gidok
bad,
no clear conscious na
But that is
na
my clear
debi by
conscience
recuse so. So that's the right thing to do.
that I have to recuse myself because that is the right thing to do.
No, then you're right. I mean, just like any member here, if there's a conflict of interest, we'd recuse ourselves. You're absolutely right with that. I'm just saying that it seems like every time one of the panel members will recuse himself on a company or a business, that business got boosted, and then that business if would also get a second boost while the other businesses haven't even been reviewed.
Unggan na dinansya no na tayo
Yes,
no
you're right.
mo no observation no
That is your
gitold Christina.
observation with
Lo
all of this.
iji man maboost na isa siya man ma-review ito niya packets.
Those that were boosted,
No, regardless ko a
their
recuse
packages
ko
were reviewed.
lo gwija iji ma-pick up ja no
But those
galong
were
ni
the ones that
packets
were picked up.
ja ma-review
The
ja
package that was
no
reviewed.
i-consensus
The consensus.
no a movie mo na ulo para
Move
i-disposition
forward.
i-gobyerno.
To the decision of the governor.
Yeah, you're right. But like I said, you also had mentioned earlier that you guys are not done reviewing packages, right? But no,
Dinansyo anay no esta ki gua
You are
notification na
Until
tisinya
there's
sta ufan ma
notification
review sa temano
that
ito songan
they
lokwe na
can no longer
no
be
vice
reviewed, just as I
na
said,
gito
Vice.
ng prende ko no
My
ti
understanding is
official mapublika este gi
this was
website na application is
publicized in the
subject to funds
website
availability rin. Diyan sina
upon
ma-terminate
funds
i-program
availability.
no without advance
That would-
notice no. Pues with still na publication na no inigi teniki janggin temoga no esta pa be fan review pes ko mekilig na esta pa sa review na
If I don't get called
Sa-
to review, then
no sinya ha
there wouldn't be
no
any more
ti
review
preview je no
because
kwanto tetenan
I'm not
masalapi
privy as to how
gwa ha
much money
program
is left.
administrator no maatan
There
no
is a
gwa
program
Department of
administrator that
Finance
should
no maatan no
check that. Finance should check that.
janggin ti ma fund ista na program ista na ko mekilig na esta mo no dyan.
If
No
this
siya
program
nga
is not
line
funded,
no
then it
as
is
much as malago na
terminated.
parata no
As much
ajuda
as we
todo do na
want to help everyone,
janggin incoming
If
administration
the
malago na
incoming
para no
administration wants
continue este
to continue
mauli na program
this program,
no
this is a good program.
that sina kasi gidun niya
And
on mine
maybe
na
in their own
tay
mind,
mano ni para ma-improve istin ni para
how they can
sige
improve
muna so
this
fan
to
maajuda
continue
todo no
forward, to
iman
help everybody,
tetenan ni timan manon
the
na esta
rest that
pumare
haven't
programs at
received,
istauza funding ni no it's
because there's
all
no
about
funding.
available funding ja timanon na na mapublika
That
pues ang
wasn't
gingo
hidden,
na
that was
manaplika
publicized. If
ja
I
timanoy jo o
applied
comprende no sa no
and wasn't
no
given, I would
afay
understand
no tojes ta sala
because there's no more money.
No, that's very true.
Mm.
Very true. 100%. No. The problem is the panelist hasn't even given an opportunity to the other
tay
applicants to
mano
be
tungo mo
reviewed.
tinungo mo no na ti
How do you
So,
know that
tinay opportunity
So ang
that
natin
we
mo na
didn't give
nadan
them
in
an
review todo.
opportunity?
You said that you
Timo
haven't
na
reviewed
na
it.
esta
It's not
kilig
done
niya na loti ko
until-
mekling na timan manoy opportunity na
But that doesn't mean they
gof
were given
klaro wi na
an opportunity. That's very clear
okok sa
that
lapyan
if there's no more
Okay.
money,
I
money funds have
aplikasyon
run out.
no depende no ko gwa sa lapi patosa sa lapi
It depends if there's funds or not.
dahil ko kasi ni
And
man
I
man
said-
responsible nisti na program such as i Bank of Saipan ni program administrator ni
The
Jangin
Bank of
esta
Saipan
tungo
program
na toda sa lapi ni no
administrator's
Teni kaya
responsible. He
so
should
niya
know
so
how much
anunsya
funds
ujung
are left
na
or if there are any
no
more
toda
funds.
sa lapi toda sa review toda process
There are no more
Lo-
funds, there's no more review, no
tay
process.
mano ugwa review ani
How can
ma-disrupt
there
the
be a
process molum
review
FBI
if
chuli todi pakete
The process was
right
disrupted.
there by
The FBI
default
came
na
in, took
statisina
all
ma-review
the
iti
documents.
pues sige ang
Cannot
faisal nung
review
gini
anymore
ko na yan
documents.
review tay mano review ang gitman na siya
How can I
documents
review if the documents are not
Do
there?
you face no na yan in review usangon na unsangon na non media nagwaha tinki o to review that mo kokoy meeting, correct?
jangin makoy meeting na
Then you're gonna have a review,
What?
right? The thing is here, there's at least
Then you
10
know.
companies that got boosted twice, while the others didn't even get one. Where's the fair? If you were the business that applied and didn't get boosted once, knowing the fact that there's other businesses that got boosted twice,
tay mano na
would it be
o
fair?
comprende no
I understand that.
o comprende no fa fino no mulok
I
na
understand
no
what you're saying.
vice na no
Vice.
lo tay mano leko na
But just as I said,
ijoku no
my
opinion no man meeting am na no
opinion when we met,
na jangin sa koso na kwa second round na
if
No.
there is a second round,
no pues ijoku
Then-
no tegwe no
my take
ganakwa na tanoy ji
Is that
esta
I
man
would
manoy so at
prefer
least sinya
that
no
those who were
ufani
given
na judoji
previously
ni
would be
junya
given
no
again
business plan
so
Well-
that I can help them with their business plan.
ko fair no pati fair
Is that fair or not fair?
depende gi Depende na
Depends
tatan mo ni lo
how you look at it.
that's a decision
That's
a
the
review
decision
panel
of the review panel.
Yeah.
no ileg mo na
We
ami man
said
responsable na
that we are
fan
responsible.
responsable na no na process na sa inigi available
And that is what we are responsible
Well,
for. We will be take
utungay posesyon
responsibility
mo
for
sa
that.
mailiyaw na tauto sa malago po na sa respecto todo do na ilo i-program ti ma-design kita gweno i-program
The program
guaha
wasn't
no
designed that
no
way. The program
afajunan niya no ijon niya no tinminon niya
has
no.
a term.
janggin toches ti pupulo ni janggin
If there is no
I'll
fund,
be
no more
very happy
funding,
talo na janggin guaha talo pupulo guaha sa lapi na do continuas ti na program
we will come
pues tay
back
mano
if there's
talyo
funding and
lekko
we will
gifinin na ni
continue this
vice na
program. Just as I
Na-
said earlier, Vice,
guagwahi joku hope para isti siya
I
pumalo
still have hope for the
No.
others.
Jaiji usanga na ni kap na junung kap
And
bridge
I
program
said
SSBCI no
About the I
pues
said yesterday
guagwa
about the
hope
SSBCI program.
in fact isti
In fact,
i-boost no
this
statistics na
boosts
More sa strengthen
statistics.
i-afajunan niya i-resolve isti SSBCI sa gimaway profit tapuni na isti SSBCI no 2.0 isti second reauthorization i-first na reauthorization na
SSBCI
No.
2.0 is the second
i 1.0 esta
reauthorization.
pogo kakwati o okok
The first one
gaigigi staba
is
former
not
SIDA as CDA No.
depleted yet.
pues sana ma reauthorize na isti na
When they reauthorize,
dong kulon no
There's
challenges
a big challenge.
afona e-commerce
Big
sa
challenges that
para
commerce
u
face
justify tay mano
to
ni paro
justify
usay ji
how
anatisinya Augusta
to use it when
u
they
satori ji
almost couldn't
first
finish the
authorization ni
first
18 million
authorization of
no
18 million.
pues
Then
eno na ko guagua ho para si pumalo
there is hope. There's
idjo
still hope for the
differential
others.
niya na
The only
iti grant
difference
law
is
we just na class no funding opportunity na
but this
paro
is a
support is a
funding
very small
authority to
business
support
janiji
the
lele
very
niya
small
no
business and
small disadvantaged individual owned businesses
what
no
they coin as
no
small
we just
disadvantaged
the
individual
todo asti
businesses.
siya ni mangai
And
gi
all of
stigi man
these
aplika gi boost program
that applied in the
falls
boost
under
program
that definitions
fall under
no
that
pues
definition.
jangin no fa faisin zo na tay
Then if
mano
you're
ni para
asking me
ta
how
kubriste istigi
to solve this,
i fajinan niya i
this
hope para
is the
eno siya
hope for
iti magata sa
the
tawtis ta sa lapi
others who did not avail, who are not
Thank you.
availed.
Thank you for that, Mr. Taisagui. But you made it very clear the difference is grants and loan.
unggan na
Loan has to be paid. Grant has to. It's not going to be paid back. Correct.
umakomprendida no
And there's how many?
We
By the way,
understand each other in that.
how many applications are left for your review if you guys are going to sit back down?
utungwa na
I know that
guaha over 1,000 application
there are over
For
1,000 applications.
for the small business and nonprofit organizations, there's 1,000.
kasi yeah
So
Possibly.
240 some man received, 240 some received.
kalan tayo no na figura
Okay.
yeah
So there's possibly 1,000 left.
yeah probably
Okay.
Mm.
So what we're getting today is we're telling the 1,000 to go apply for that loan at Commerce SSBCI
Di-
rather
ta-
than accept
Thoughts of
get a-
in
No, I'm just
sangungan
saying.
We are not telling anybody.
But you brought it up. You brought up that this is another option.
Lotinig if you know na no
But that's
vice
not what
na
I meant.
na usangan
Vice,
ni no na
that I'm
dispensa sa
telling
no
them sorry
amjo timan to
because you guys,
debi no matungwe no sa na publicize sa gin
you guys should already know that because it was publicized
lopi pues
that if there's no more money,
no the program would
then the
no
program
without advance notice pumora
No, that's
without advance
understood. But again,
notice would be
Hello.
terminated.
we're referring to
ilileng
the
mo pabaysangoni
well, you're using the SSBCI, Nanya?
leko ileleko na guaha
I am
hope
saying that there
jangin
is
mang
hope
concern namjo no offer
if
para
you are
offer
concerned
ko
about that.
masusedi di siya iti man
What
manoy
will
no
happen to the rest
no
who didn't
Misty
get
Grant
No, but that's
this
true.
grant?
We are
This-
concerned about it, and you should be really concerned about it because
unggan
because of
sige
the
na
Commerce's
Yes, and that is
ability to be able to spend the 2 point, no? His first $18 million, Lemo,
yes
and then the next is how much?
another 18
Another 18 million. So
Mm.
$36 million is
no
available.
another there's about 57 million po todo
$57 million.
Mm.
Okay.
no under isti i fajinan niya i SSBCI
SSBCI.
no the time ano jo sangan na
just as I said.
a justified stage
It-
na mo honesty muna sa
It is already
question is
justified and is moving
tayo
forward.
commerce po gastas
Question is, how is
57 million
Commerce
and
going to spend
italalata
57
18 million
million if
no
the 18
besi
million hasn't been
boost na
spent
ito
yet?
na stack na no actually giparagwa na
Actually, for me,
no kalan blessing in disguise is still okay
it's a blessing in
No.
disguise.
sa anay ma roll out i
Because when it
program
was
na
rolled out, the program
pues
was rolled out.
ma-extend
They
Pues
extended and
ma-extende.
extended and extended.
bumula lang no ano na
There were
guaha
a lot
interest
of
no pues
those
istige
with
na
interest or interested.
manahonos ti guato na
Then,
information guato di US Treasury
then
No.
this information was forwarded to the U.S. Treasury.
Yeah. Pues inigi na justify na guaha demand no for
that
capital access kwinigi cinema.
Justifies.
And you're absolutely right.
Mm.
The demand increased because of a grant, not a loan.
Well,
It was under SEDA, And if that option was there, there would have been a big demand back then. Knowing the fact that it's a loan, the demand's not there. A
No,
grant is different.
uno differential niya na
One
isti
difference.
sa nidji kay gisida na.
This
No,
and what is that? SIDA?
iji asida taje
The
zonya
one
technical
at
assistant.
SIDA.
This-
Taza Alpha?
Taje zonya technical assistant program.
There's no technical
No.
assistance program.
Isti gi differential niya sa nisti.
That's the difference between that and this.
No, pues iliko na gitodo i jurisdiction na
Within all
Gi-
jurisdictions,
gi afejo na ne gi 1.0 na SSPCI.
the 1.0,
No kasi
SSPCI.
nigi problema. Itawad sa
that is
technical
the problem.
assistance,
There's
gi
no
para
technical
legal
assistance,
services, gi pandan
for
accounting services,
legal
dan gi
services,
pandan
accounting
financing advising.
services, and finance advice.
Tay mano anay iji anay
Just
ma-extendis ti bus 4 gi
when
jaluta.
the boost was extended
No.
to Rhoda,
Di dia
only a little
man aplika.
applied,
No, janay man aplika na
and when
man
they applied,
struggle gi paro
they
maput
struggled
siya idunya packets. No.
with the
Pues
package.
ti sina taholog na
We cannot say
na por no rason na
that
ti
that is the reason
ti ma-appreciate
reason
pa munga siya mo
that it
take
wasn't
ki opportunity
appreciated,
low cost si taigweno na technical assistant
but
arm
possibly because
gi
that technical assistance wasn't available.
GE SSPCI 1.0. Pesistige differential niya sti dos.
That was the
Pues
difference
otro
between
talo
those two.
differential niya na
The other difference,
no mababaha
it
no
was opened.
mas loistige pago na incentive gwini no
The incentive here is
iparo fan majudoji di siya
that
ililig niya very small businesses.
the very small
No,
businesses
iji very
will be
small
assisted,
businesses
helped,
kumikilig niya
meaning
kumpanya ni
the
GDS
company,
pa menos que 10
10 or
empleados
less
niya,
than 10
no?
employees.
Pues istinay lokwidzi
And
ano
this
talo
also,
differential niya dyan isti
the difference
office na niya 1.0 na, no?
uh,
Na
of the
hindi kasi na
1.0,
ti successful ano na or
if
sinya
it is
ti
not successful,
tinahong no
or if there is not
advertisement,
enough
no?
advertisement,
No yo talo na isti izi
the
no
other
ma
is
concentrate gizim like niya
it is
isedi own businesses, no? Iji sedi own businesses na iji
concentrate on
small
SETI,
individual
small
disadvantage
businesses.
no own businesses. We just siya iji ko veteran
These
veteran
are,
business owner ko woman
if there are
owner pa
veteran
no
business owners,
no
women
offer
business
ji
owners,
no limited English language business owner ini gi siya gaigi gano gi
Okay.
definition.
Thank you for that, Mr. Taisagui. Knowing what you know today, if we could rewind back time, would you have recommended other ways to run the program as a panelist for the boost program?
Esta no answer na question.
I've already answered that question.
Sino pitalo sa
Tutungo fa rason na siga na iji bay malifa za lahat si talo
I
That's
don't
zulo.
know
Esta
why
o
you
piano
keep,
na leko todo
I might
wa
forget
na
my answer.
no programa ne todo tempo wa campo para improvement. Pizangin po
All
sige na estimona
programs have room for
mangof
improvement.
concern namjo neno ne.
And if this
Esta o
continues, you
pitalo
guys
no
are
na leko na no
concerned.
anima
I've already
faisin
answered
jo afa mon
when they asked
opinion
me
no jangin
what is my
prosigis timona
opinion,
afa improvement leko man concern
what
namjo neno
improvement,
ja istiga no malumo i documentation.
and that better documentation
Better
is what he answered
documentation.
to
Yes.
earlier.
And better secured for the applications, possibly.
Possibly.
Thank you. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Vice Speaker. I recognize Rep. McGoffin.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Mr.
Good
Taisagui.
afternoon.
Si Zeus mo sinimo total tati puro
Ungen.
answer mas question na gininhami. So according to your testimony this morning, you repeatedly stated that there's an established rule for the panel members that there must be at least 2 votes for a funding recommendation to advance to the governor, correct? There has to be at least 2 votes for the
It's a
recommendation.
majority, and I know. I think that's no todo da comprende na jangin tres simple majority tenikidos.
Okay.
No.
I'm just trying to clarify and state for the record that that the simple majority means 2 out of the 3, correct?
Ungan.
Okay. Is this rule a written rule that you refer to?
Taza uli written
So
law inacomprende.
inaccomprendigen in how many,
It's a common rule, no, na.
so there's no established rule.
Taza uli kogwa written. Ano malum jo.
How is it your interpretation or understanding that there has to be a simple majority or
Understanding.
two-thirds
Understanding.
amongst the 3 of you?
Ungan.
Okay. So there's nothing written. It's just a simple understanding
Not to
from,
my knowledge.
okay. Do you know, okay, all right. Is there a contingency plan in place for the panel members to use in a situation where one of the member recuses himself, the other might be off island, and it only leaves one? Is there a contingency plan for such a situation should that arise?
With it in understanding, na. No. No.
With the
Na debi
understanding
na guaha dos.
that there
Pues,
should be 2,
Yung opinion mo na.
in my
Ti
opinion.
debi na uguaha
There should
action
be-
matsogi.
Okay.
Can you repeat the last clause? I didn't hear you.
Gano na sitwasyon na nilalang niya
In
si
that
Vice
situation,
na. No
that Vice
ni
mentioned.
uno ha. Ki opinion no ti debi no guaha masusedi.
When there's only one there, nothing should happen.
Okay. And to
Meaning
your
no decision
knowledge,
should be made.
sorry, to your knowledge, you are not aware of any situation in where only one member made the recommendation.
I think it's to answer no na question.
Okay. Okay. So if only one panelist made a funding recommendation and an applicant somehow received funding, in your personal opinion, do you think that that makes the award invalid?
I hope not ti masusedi no. Na tayo no.
I hope it didn't happen that way.
But if it did happen,
Kumikiling niya na natawad sa no.
That
No
means
simple majority na
there wasn't a
decision.
simple majority.
so would you state that in your opinion, if that situation happened, then the award would be considered invalid? With the basis that there should be 2 or more.
Ungan.
So in your personal opinion, you would agree
Ungan.
that if an award was given by and was recommended by just one member and somehow it got awarded, that award would be considered invalid.
Sa tayo is simple majority.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
simple
Okay.
majority is
So
not there, doesn't exist.
if that happens and the award is now considered invalid, would you say that the awardee or the recipient must return that award?
I have no comment on that. I really cannot comment on that.
Okay.
Why not? Why not? You're a review panelist. If
Sa
Why-
to, opinion mo este na. The asangangan nizo no afafaisin zo si Vice no the munga na by songan offer the mulachi zo. But I don't have no comment.
why would you think you would answer wrongly? I mean, we're just trying to find answers. We're not assuming anything. So why would you think that you would say something wrong? You know, when we ask you, what if there was only one member who made the
Esto
decision?
pigwi na si Vice ni si afafaisin zo na ko no valid di jangin una domicilio hasta lekuna na
As a review panelist, we would like to ask you, is that a valid decision? If only one person made the decision?
esto established esto sanganin na ti valid.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So there was never any discussion about how an issue like that would be resolved should it happen.
Not to my recollection, Vice.
Okay. So that's one hypothetical situation, right? Another one would be if the governor himself was the only one directing for certain applicants to be added to the list after the list has been um, given to him, right, by the panel members. But subsequently, the governor comes back, or not the governor, but maybe the chief of staff sent a text to Bank of Saipan and says, "Oh, sorry, there's a late edition where 3 additional awardees to be added to the list." Without those applications going through the review process, like everybody else, does that make the award invalid?
Hypothetical, ano?
Actually, it's not hypothetical. There's some text messages
Kung
that.
nulia, no, na,
Oh.
no, no, sa mo hypothetical, talusti.
Okay, in general, in general, where we've already seen some evidence of that occurring.
No.
In your personal opinion.
No, I think it's to piano na question. Nalizo ni evidence.
I believe I've already
Yeah.
answered that question when I saw the evidence.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't recall hearing it. Maybe you did, but
Yeah, I
and
did.
that's why I'm asking.
No, I did.
So if you don't mind, if you could indulge me again and just respond whether or not you as a panel member would consider an instruction from the governor to add additional.
And I never had an instruction from the
No,
governor.
I'm saying in that instance
Kung
where.
sa palabra, no, you.
You are using the
Oh,
word
ufafai sino
you.
needs a more personal opinion. Na kung ani happen at the governor mamaisin po maat talu tres na kompanya gitzi lista.
Inipek ko gano za no usangon yun
My
estopya no.
answer
No,
is that
inipek
I've
ko
already
gano I have no
answered you.
knowledge of it no.
Right. And I understand you're saying you have no knowledge, but I'm saying in your personal opinion, if something like that happened, which it did, would you consider it an invalid award? Those
Today
three.
no masusedi no.
That shouldn't have happened or shouldn't happen.
Tidebi Umasiseri is.
Sangge no fafaisin so pogo na.
If you're asking me now,
Guaha no understanding na
there's an
debidi na
understanding that
falofan isti guatu gi review paano.
Okay.
it
No.
should go through the review panel.
Pues no na hypothetical but no. Ulit ko na sa ulia na no. Dahil ko I have no knowledge na no. Today no masusedi no. Tangge no
It shouldn't
fafaisin
happen.
opinion no.
If you're asking me about my opinion.
It's a more opinion and the stone sangan na tidebi no happen. Lo happen, right? It did happen.
Tayo sa knowledge na no.
Unga ne ta comprende. Comprende nung sangan na no sa malagwa sa pabitungo in your professional opinion, because that happened, would you consider those 3 additional companies that were added to the list? Would
I
you
have
consider?
no knowledge na no lo janggian ti malofan gi review paano na.
If it didn't go
Today, no
through the review
masusedi,
panel, then it shouldn't
Okay. That's that.
happen.
Okay. Si Zeus Mossy, Mr. Taisawi, that's all I have for you.
Okay.
Any other members? I recognize Rep. Sablon.
Welcome back, Mr.
Thank you.
Tessier.
This is
And so I'm sorry, I'm just trying to follow your response to that last question. So I understand you said it shouldn't happen. But then if it did happen, then your position would be the same as with the previous question. If it did happen, then it's an invalid action.
of a previous question.
The previous question about if only one of the panelists was the one that made a decision, then that shouldn't happen also, right? So it's an invalid action.
Sa Taigui is simple majority.
Right. Okay. And then in the case of the governor, if the governor directed for any applicant, not just those 3, but any applicant to be added to the list without going through the review process, that also shouldn't happen, and that wouldn't be a valid action.
Sa team of edit ni
Exactly.
ni review panel.
Thank you. Okay. And then I wanted to ask you, even though I think we all recognize here that the life expectancy of the Boost program may be ending soon, right? Very likely ending soon. But you said earlier that there is this other program, the SSBCI,
Nga.
that is about to roll out that could be providing hope to
Okay.
other small businesses that
Mm.
were not able to avail
Nga.
of the Boost program,
Bring
right?
him here.
And it's a similar intention, right, to provide assistance to small businesses,
Nga.
financial assistance, and you are, as the director of economic development, you are responsible for the SSBCI, correct?
E-commerce.
Commerce is responsible.
Mm.
But you're, as the director of economic development, are you overseeing the rollout of the program?
Secretary of Commerce almost oversee rollout.
Okay. Has he delegated any responsibility to you for that program?
I agree that it's more lucky. No.
No, he is what you call
Gwaha na term na
There's a term.
no agree that no po oversee.
that is why he's the only one who can oversee or will oversee.
I see. Okay. And you said that this is a much larger funding stream than Boost, right?
Mm.
It's $57 million.
Okay.
Okay. And even though it's a loan program, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a forgivable loan program.
Oh yeah,
It's not forgivable.
it's a low interest bearing.
Oh, so none of those loans could be converted into grants.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And then who else is overseeing this program besides Commerce? Isn't there another third-party administrator that will be handling the SSBCI program?
Elite program no coordinator na.
Mhm.
No
The lead program
siya
coordinator.
tumutsugan no siya, which involve
They
uno
are
tao
doing that, which
division
involves one of my employees,
uno division of banking, then uno
one from the division of banking,
insurance.
one from insurance.
All from the Department of Commerce.
Okay.
Okay. Is the Bank of Saipan involved in administering this program at all?
Guiza no base gisti tres ma
They
recommenda
Based on
na
the three,
since ma recommenda na
recommended.
Bank of Saipan
it was recommended
no
that Bank of
ja
Saipan,
manahon no guatu na informasyon guatu
because
gizun
that
mami
information
no
was forwarded to our
of SSBCI handler ja siya tenike no
SSBCI
mapreba
handler, and they improved it.
ay tenike mapreba ti
Oh,
mapreba
will
tabi
be, they
that's
will approve
pending.
it.
yeah
Who's the SSBCI handler
si Carl Fuchs
out of?
Awahi
Oh, so the U.S. federal agency.
yes
Okay.
siya todo mapreba taja ti man
They
mapreba
approve everything we don't approve.
siya
Okay.
tumotsogi todo oversight
Okay. So the three recommended that Bank of Saipan be
it's just siya
play what role in this program?
kulan committee na
Like a review panel also?
unggan kulan di act as a review panel.
Okay. But I'm trying to understand how is Bank of Saipan playing a similar role in SSBCI?
Bank of Saipan support is niya expertise na ibandan risk analysis no siya inigi
The Bank of Saipan,
niya
because of their
izo niya
expertise in risk
role si
analysis,
John Arroyo as
Mhm.
president no janggien umolom aplikasyon gi bangko gi participating bank na
when
no
the application comes into the
teniki
participating bank,
mafeji mo olo guys on the term gi bangko no ma process na no
Okay.
pues janggien mapreba ni bangko na guaha no secondary no
if it is approved by the bank, there is a secondary
review
review.
nidji mangay qualificaw gidji
That
risk
have
analysis gi banda ni bangko
qualifications
no
under risk analysis for the bank.
So will the bank actually be cutting the checks to applicants who are approved?
ya ibangko ni mono ni man aplika
Yeah, so the bank where they applied.
Okay. And they can only apply to the Bank of Saipan. So is there a contract with the Bank of Saipan also
No.
for this?
ay ti para ti Bank of Saipan di po fan manaplika. Fan manaplika gi mono na bangko ni man participate pa SSBCI. Tagi Bank of Guam, no City Trust Bank, First Hawaiian Bank, jangan ma di city pero ufan sauno no of taluin na bangko. Bank Pacific, tagi no siya na.
Oh, so applicants can go to any bank.
Yes.
Okay. And so what is Bank of Saipan's role then? I don't understand. You said that this review panel within Commerce recommended Bank of Saipan.
Bisa
what?
kulan avet i kulan secondary risk analysis reviewer.
I see. Okay. So there should be a contract then with Bank of Saipan.
Unggan guaha
Okay.
no contract no namanahono gatu gi no izon i SSBCI handler
Okay.
za tenikisia no determina ko sufficienti pati sufficienti.
So Bank of Saipan is vetting applications in a way that's similar.
Iya tabe very application
Okay.
at sotsoga izon risk analysis.
But what
Sa guaha na no janggin legnya i participating bank si Bank of Saipan no delegnya no maulik is application lo i problemanya ti adequate is on collateral no guaha siya no formula no naten ki maplika in terms of Fiji para no often na points no i-risk ko bangko sinesta na program truly risk all the way up to 50%. No? Pues ang ginleg niya na okay. No, ibang ko pero absorb no 60%. I-program po absorb 40% na. Pues after niya i-retain na contractor na pero uji risk analysis aatan edzi gua second review ko por recommenda na i-program di under commerce por absorb the 40%.
Okay. And will the governor play a role in approving applications?
Oh yeah.
No, not at all.
Ibangko man prepare.
And is it the bank then that will also be reviewing these applications?
Yes.
Whoever applies, it's the bank that will be responsible.
Quite a term para to scrutinize na sa izon niya system de no matatigi izon niya system.
Yeah.
The only difference is na klase no capital access na no and intend por ajuda no small businesses than the city owned businesses. No persistigi intend wini. Is na gumaha siya technical assistance ni para todo siya na janggin man manoy. No manmanohi lo question no na technical assistant para umana siguro na no successful na no business.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Chair. Did you want to translate or interpret? Okay. And so for this program, there are written regulations in place.
Written regulation getting in the U.S. Treasury.
So just to bring it back to the Boost program then, what will you say to applicants who did not get reviewed, did not get an award, and are feeling very discouraged and have lost confidence in this program? What would you say to those small businesses? Why should they have confidence that this program will be different? Why should they trust the integrity of this program and the fairness and the process?
I think
for this program?
No. Mauli kenu na question yung fa-fashion zone. Lo, it's a choice of a business, no? Ko para avail gui na programa pati por avail gui na programa. Tichitowe no pa befanyangoni.
It is not my job
po
to inform somebody else has a job.
Tayo ni Boost
Just
na
as
i-program
the
administrator
Boost
chito niya para
The administrator's job is to
outreach po
do the
na
outreach
program ni.
about this program.
Lo tigwahon na
But that-
review panel para
but I-
befanyangoni po din no.
I understand what you're saying, Mr. Testigui, but after this whole fiasco with Boost, why should people trust SSBCI? And we're talking about a lot more
Afa
money.
na fiasco.
The lack
What
of
Kam dua gini
fiasco?
mo nagwagwa fiasco sa in nagwagwa
Only you
este
guys are
in
creating this
niya no
fiasco because you guys are
You're
having
saying you're saying
conducting
the members
these.
of this committee created the fiasco, the lack of a process, the lack of a regulations, the
Guaha process lo po
politics
di.
of
There
this
is a
whole
Guaha
program.
process, but
process lo po ti nag-green
So the
process.
You guys
question
don't
is
agree with the
why?
process.
Why should people trust this program when they have lost so much trust in this government
Tutungo ko
and in the
lost
Oh, I
review
don't
trust.
panel and in the
If there's
process
lost
with
trust,
Boost?
Opinion
Why?
mo no
that is your
Red,
opinion. You're
na giluen no na no in
on
nagwagwa
top
si
of
sa
that.
para in nagwaha mos no inakomprende. No tutungo afalo esta prohusing esta administration po halo mo nuevo na administration ne. Pues
This
esta
administration
man
going
kaigit
out, there's a new administration
transition
coming in.
no. Pues
There is in the transition.
Pogo na este nuevo na administration
Now,
po halo na
this new administration
no
coming
hay
in,
respeto sa siya o
give them
dinisidi
respect
ko
and let them
para
decide.
no gitinengo este ARPA esta fanan 2024 no pues gizagawa na
Something about ARPA being until
gizagawa
2024.
kasi wagwa sa
Within
lapi
me,
kasi niya zangin malago siya na
there's
para
possibly more
o apa dyan
still
makonsigis
money
din no lo izigi ay ti blele no
to
tilele no
continue to
laka
proceed.
na palabra ne lo guaha disruption gi program
There is a
izigi na pumare
disruption in the
No.
program. That is why it stopped.
And the disruption was that the FBI came in and took all the boxes, and that's why the review cannot continue. Is that going back to what you said earlier?
Taimano pa ma-reviews ang gintay di siya
What are they going to
business
review
plans.
Mhm.
if the business plans are not there?
Right. So that's what you would tell people if they ask you why should we
Taimano
trust
iliko na
SSBCI?
tichitso no pa be fanyangoni
That's not my job to inform people.
Sige on faisino ko enigi
You
pon
keep
sangani
asking
tauto.
me if that's what I'm going to tell the people.
Empleo adjo gini para be
I'm
fan
only an
reviewer.
employee
I'm
to
asking you
review.
as the
Tigwaho
director.
responsible.
I'm not
Tigwaho
responsible
responsible niste na program.
of this program.
Gua expenditure authority, gua
There's
no
an expenditure
gua program
authority.
manager.
There's a program
I'm
manager.
just a reviewer. Kalau
I'm just a
mo ni
reviewer.
Jion tatan suzu mo gila
You are
go no
pointing at me
Mhm.
as if I am.
go gini no mo assistin na programa.
I am the boss of this program.
Mhm.
Esto na klora to
I
my
made it
mano
clear
manuno
how
no na
Mr.
madising
Taisigui,
niya.
I'm
that I'm
wrapping up with my
designated.
questions, Madam Chair. But Mr. Taisigui, you were more than just a reviewer, and I
Mano
think that
tumo mo na
I
How do
think
you
that the
know that
record-
I am more than a
I
Mr.
think
reviewer?
that the
Taisugui,
record-
I'm going to direct you to refrain from talking until the member is done with her statement or question.
Thank you, Chair. I think we have established that you are more than simply a reviewer. You are the Director of Economic Development. You are representing a cabinet member, the Secretary of Commerce. You made decisions about which applications should be funded and which should even be reviewed. And you made decisions about millions of dollars in public funds that, as the chairman said, affected people's lives. And so you were more than just a reviewer. And I don't think we do justice to the people. I don't think we answer their questions to simply wash our hands of responsibility and to say it's not in your scope. You're just an employee. You were more than that. Just as Mr. Castro was, just as the Secretary of Finance was, just as the governor was, more than just reviewing. And unfortunately, there was no process. Unfortunately, there were no records. Unfortunately, there were no guidelines. There's no transparency and there's no accountability. And so perhaps you cannot answer this question about why people should trust SSBCI, why it should be any different. I hope it is. I certainly hope it is. But I think we have to do a lot to earn people's trust back and learn from the mistakes of this Boost program, which has so much room for improvement if it were to continue. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Rep. Sablon. I recognize Rep. Joel. Macho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Buenas tardes, Mr.
With
Daisuke.
us, no, Congressman.
My question is, were you aware that Frank the Crank or Frank Komatsu would go to Bank of Guam and submit invoices for payment to Fit to Lead?
Correction.
aware of that?
Saipan? Bank of
Bank of
Saipan.
Saipan, my apologies.
Not to my knowledge, Congressman.
So you were not aware that they were using the Boost program to supplement Fit to Lead?
Not to my knowledge.
Do you see the predicament that we have here? It's almost as if there are no guidelines like what other members have mentioned. It's almost as if it is like a slush fund to be used for I don't know what, maybe political aspirations. Well, my other question is: these five companies that you have recused yourself from, did they at any given point of time have had an advantage over other applicants? I know you recused yourself, but was there any point in time where you had helped them complete their package or put their package together?
Temano anay no sangonyo no Congressman Gialacha.
Because that in itself,
No.
Mr. Testigo, is conflict of interest.
Un minsosyon no, ijigin ay no recuso so comprendi do kuro gini na.
Of course,
No,
you're gonna
na-
recuse
na-
yourself
na
when it
recuse
comes to.
do.
Of course, you're gonna recuse yourself when it comes to the decision-making process. You have to. There's a bias there. But my question is, did you help these companies put together their boost packages, or did you at any given point in time give them an advance notice? And actually, my question also is for the company that you are a shareholder of 45%, which is Lovebirds. When did you apply? Did you apply at the onset of the program? During the middle part of it? Can you recall that?
I don't have recollection on the actual dates.
So you don't remember if you applied for it when the program first initiated?
I domo statement who apply. I kumpanya man apply. I doko partner which is no 55% man apply.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Lo liling mo. Ijigin na no congressman na nagumaha i lahat na statement gi newspaper pogo za uwagan pa ba na correct.
Yes, well, it's
Sa
clear.
domo statement tagweno na
Well, it's been clarified, Mr. Taisugo. You've clarified that earlier today. Thank you.
lo untututo na
But my
tago.
question now is, did you at any given point of time assist this one specific person on the five applications that they submitted? Did they have an advantage over other applicants?
Often assist sililik mo.
Like helping them put their packets together, giving they say, hey, this is what you need. This is what you need to apply. Sending an email.
It's gonna no recuso.
Like I said, hey, of course you're gonna recuse yourself when you guys
Sa
are.
podeno na perceive conflicts na. That amigo isti. Right?
I'm talking at the onset, and during the process of when when they're gonna submit their application. Were you a part of that at any?
Mela na sa be na kloro a Agustino. Esto recuso. Okay? The sige on faisino isti na question ni esto recuso. Now, utungo isti matuki attention no around April. No?
Came to my attention around
Around April.
April,
Just to establish ano na congressman na.
and I've already
Establish
established
ano.
that.
No? Pues gin the process na guahan no
Then in the process,
no
there is
intention
an intention
na para ufanado no through
To-
ibangko
to borrow through the bank
para u na posible siya izon na business plan.
to
No.
make the
Pues,
business plans
Antes na
possible.
ba mapunta como review gini gi August?
Before I was appointed
Esta
as a review panelist
esta
in
ajudar
August,
muna como
I was
amigo
already
dan lokwi no
helping
resident agent no dan man amigo na.
because I was
No.
a friend and a business agent.
Okay, so
resident
then
agent.
you are stating that you did assist them in
Ungan na jigin no
Yes.
recuso sa
That is why
recognize
I
no na
recuse
no
myself
gahan
because I
no
recognize that
Izoku Business Association
Yeah,
I'm
but
a
bita.
business
you see where
association.
where I'm alluding to.
Ay ulilya afan uzo lo tinigi case na gini jigin na IG no
No,
recuso.
Mr. Taisui, the simple fact that these companies had an advantage over people because of the fact that you were a panel member is just it's mind-boggling to a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, and also my last question, Mr. Chairman, if the U.S. Inspector General were to recommend that all of the applicants or awardees were to resubmit the money back, how would you feel about that? What's your
Well,
feelings on that?
thoughts no congressman
I have.
no bidan niya esti siya man ma-award.
They
No.
did not do
Machulia
anything. The
oportunidad
awardees.
pero masanmiti haldum.
And what about
No.
those companies that were only awarded $5,000? Are they gonna be they're left behind? Pretty much
Wrongly? Man manoy
compared to
Tutungo,
what they have
ko
asked
wrongly,
for.
ko tutungo ko dinansya mo ponsangan na wrongly man manoy. Well,
I
man
did not
maward.
say
That
wrongly.
is right of you to say they were
I think
wrongly.
pa ba unsasangan na
I
no
did
na
not
no
that were
wrongly.
given $5,000 or whatever, so much less than what they've requested. Are they gonna be left behind now?
Temano esta no siya o diskuti no no
I've
no
already discussed
off left
those.
behind ko may kilig mo.
What does left
Meaning
behind
the
mean?
program? The
What do you
program is
mean?
most like because of all the mess that has been made. That moving forward, the next administration have to clean up this mess. These people most likely this program will be coming to an end. And these
Wow,
people,
it's gonna come
while
into
we
an end
have other
dito sa
applicants
testa.
that other applicants out there that have been awarded 2 3 times in large amounts, and then we have businesses that only had 5 10,000. Those are the people I'm stating that are going to be left behind as a result. How do you feel about that?
Is it man maward?
Yes, they were awarded, but they were awarded so much less than what they were requesting for.
Well,
Legitimate, established small business in the community.
I think todo still no congressman ma legitimate sa
I think all of this is legitimate
fulfill
because they fulfilled
requirement
Oh, so
the
even those
requirement.
businesses that are legitimate that are in the cinema
tutungo afa
incubator,
tutungo afa lilig mo no legitimate no
I don't know
congressman
what
lo
you're
pura esti siya
saying
no
legitimate,
no
but
or
these are
established
all
businesses kita
established businesses
cinema dang
in the
ginililig
cinema.
mo iti siya no
If you
kumpanya
are
ni
saying that those
Uricuso
companies that I
ko
recuse myself
ti
from,
unsasangan na ti
you're
legitimate iti siya.
saying that those are not
that's not
legitimate?
what I'm saying.
Ay, jigin sasangan na
I'm
No, that's
Tawag
what
saying
na
you're saying.
kumpanya
I'm
lilig mo
saying that
ti legitimate sa
I'm
kulan
talking
mo
about
target do
cinema.
Mr. Taisagui,
I'm talking about cinema
I will ask you
incubator.
not to obstruct or to interfere until
Cinema incubator companies, which are companies that are just newly established or new business license, they are awarded 200,000 in the hundreds of thousands, and then we have businesses that are in the cinema now animal that were only given 5,000, 10,000, and simply requesting for maybe 55,000. Even to give you an example, the hot has been in business since Super Typhoon Solar, and I've been a persistent company that's been struggling throughout the years, but and trying to make ends meet. Requested for 55,000, we're only given 10. A company that's reliable, that's been here providing services to our community, and only awarded 10. Those are the companies I'm talking about that are gonna be left behind, Mr. Taisugui. Anyways, I don't need a response from you. Thank you. I rest.
Thank you, Rep. Jewel. We'll take one more, and that is recognize Rep. Probst.
Thank you. Mr. Taisagui, you're the part owner of Lovebirds,
45% part owner.
45%. What is Lovebirds?
It's a bar and restaurant.
It's a bar and restaurant.
Mm.
When did you open?
Steno opin no congressman ginigig kan?
I already answered that, Congressman, this morning.
Could I
May I direct the
apologize.
witness to answer, please?
Could you answer the question, sir? Is it a difficult question for you to answer?
Ay
When
lo,
did you-
uri
Okay, thank
pipite
you,
azo,
sir.
no,
Could
ako
you
na
answer
tayo
the
I
question?
keep
Thank you,
repeating
sir.
myself.
Could you answer the question?
February 2021.
February 2021, you opened Lovebirds. How many employees work at Lovebirds?
Tres.
3.
3 employees for Lovebirds. This is a restaurant and it's a bar, and you've been open since February
I-
20.
And I know,
Are you interrupting me?
yeah, no,
Okay, so
gusto ko manood nun.
so I'm sorry. Once again, it's a restaurant, and it's been open since February 2021. You're a
Sino ba yung
half
clarify,
owner
ano?
near.
He wants to clarify. Can I clarify?
Okay.
That
Go ahead and clarify.
I-restaurant no iba non adding i-restaurant services.
restaurant, we just added the restaurant
Anay-
services
Anay kompanya ma-awarded ni Boost.
when the company was awarded Boost.
And how much boost were you awarded?
I thi- I-record está reflect no 225,000.
Record already reflects that it was given
$225,000
$225,000.
for a business that just opened up in February of 2021. Okay. And you have 3 employees. You got $225,000. Okay. Now, what if I were to say that the hut employed more people and paid more in taxes and only applied for $55,000 and only received $10,000? Why wouldn't the hut get $55,000 if they have more employees and they've been open longer? Why is Lovebirds more deserving? Your company, sir. How is it possible that this company, this restaurant, was more important than several other restaurants that received not one penny, that were in operation well before your establishment was open in 2021? How is that fair?
No comment,
Thank you. Also, you expect these chairs, these councils, myself, my colleagues, everyone else who has been watching this, whatever you want to call it, to believe that your business associate somehow, some way, by coincidence, received 10% of the total amount of the Boost program that was awarded originally. 10% meaning $1 million. That somehow one person who happens to be your business associate and business partner miraculously received 10% of the entire amount that was originally awarded for the Boost program. Sir, you mean to tell all of us that this is just sheer coincidence?
Ito recusal so establish on a recusal. Now,
I recused
to
myself,
answer
and I've
question
already established that I recused
to the
myself.
best of my knowledge, to the best of my recollections, and está established todo mo.
I've established all of that.
You recused yourself. Okay, you've told us that. You've recused yourself. But there's no proof of that, sir. And that is the most troubling thing when I say that, because you have zero records, which, by the way, is required by law. You must make that statement. It must be written in the minutes. That is a Commonwealth law. Yet you guys did not take any minutes whatsoever. There's been no records of anything turned in to this committee because they do not simply exist. Now, sir, you can talk over and you can claim that we are badgering you or whatever, sir. But so far, in your testimony, in everything that you have given, you have shown that there is no true rubric. There are no defined plans. Your decisions for giving the amounts and who received were strictly and purely subjective, based on how you guys felt at that time. You have clearly established the fact that you only gave 10 to 15 minutes per proposal, if that, and that you guys took your own piles and went through them. I've said to you, I've reviewed several that were turned in to me. It could not take me just 10 minutes or 15 minutes to read a thorough business plan that somebody spent weeks on end working on, because there are a lot of figures to deal with and projections and other things, sir, which obviously was bypassed by you and your fellow panelists. That is disturbing. There is no fairness in what we have seen. What we have seen is a mockery of it, sir. And that's why it's like, why am I even going to ask you questions when your questions have been consistently that there is a consensus, some sort of general consensus, collective consensus that just does not exist. We've seen so many of these businesses that also skip the line, but just coincidentally, they happen to be related or affiliated somehow, some way with one of the panelists. And then when you say, well, we recuse ourselves sometimes, there is no record to this. This is why this is a serious problem. We have $17 million, sir, that was used for Boost. And the very first problem that you guys had was that you never consulted with the legal counsel. If you had, they would have told you, perhaps we shouldn't do this. Perhaps they would have given you some fair warning, some good advice. And if you had consulted with an attorney, that attorney needs to be fired for giving you bad advice. Because the first thing they should have told you was the very mere fact that we have an office and grants management state clearinghouse that was never, ever included in this decision-making process, which also violates Commonwealth law. And when you violate Commonwealth law, you violate federal laws. And that is where the internal audit that will happen on this from the federal government will come down hard. Did you follow local law and local regulations? The answer will be no. Several were violated. What do you think the federal government will do at that point? Let me tell you what they will do. They will do what they've done in the past. They will do an investigation on this. They will find things wrong with it. And then they will say the CNMI must pay the $17 million back. And who's going to be on the hook, sir? It's not going to be you and your two panelists. It will be our taxpayers who have to pay that money back. This is a very serious matter. This is not something to be taken lightly. There is tons of proof that this was not done in a right manner and that there is possibly fraud committed. I have seen enough today. I don't have any more questions for you because there are no questions that you will answer that will satisfy me or my colleagues at this point. What I do know is that I've looked at this list, and even the very first time I looked at it, I could see connections simply by looking at it. And then we took a little dive into it, and we're not even investigators, making phone calls to the registrar and looking at who owns these companies and putting the ties together. When 1 Mariana's initiative, when I brought that up, and you couldn't recall many things about that, yet it was given $250,000, this nonprofit that somehow skipped the line of nonprofits that existed in the CNMI for decades, but they somehow skipped the line. That's not fairness, sir. You're talking about a company that 2/3 of the company are not even residing here. They reside in Guam. It was just incorporated in the latter part of 2022. But it didn't receive $5,000 or $10,000. It received $250,000. And we still don't know exactly what it does and how the Commonwealth will somehow benefit from that. I don't have any questions for you, sir. I just am frustrated at this point that we've had to deliberate and discuss and ask questions, and we've gotten nowhere with the answers. I yield.
Thank you, Probes. All right. At this time, Mr. Taisugui, um, while you had every right to appear with the lawyer, you chose to come before the committee without one. And so we appreciate you answering these questions by the committee based on, to the best of your ability. And so for that, again, thank you. Uh, at this time, we will dismiss you, but we still reserve the right to call you back at any point should the committee want further clarification based on um, other witnesses that will be called in later this
Okay.
week. Um, and so at this time, Mr. Taisui, you are hereby excused.
Si suspense.
Thank you. With that, we will take a we will return at 4 o'clock p.m. With a short recess. We now rise back from recess, and prior to going to recess, we excused Mr. Taisegui. And up next, we have notified the counsel for Miss Karen from the Bank of Saipan to appear before the committee tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. And so at this time, we will recess until tomorrow 10:30. I'm sorry, 10:30 a.m. We will recess for um, uh, sorry, until we get Miss Karen in. Any comment from the members? All right. Okay, members and LB staff, recess to 10 a.m. 10:30 a.m. Thursday.